You are not broke because you lack money. You are broke because you're afraid. Let that hit you. Fear is expensive. Confidence pays. Every hesitation you've ever had, that was a bill. Every opportunity you've thought about instead of attacking, another invoice. Every time you stayed quiet when you should have spoken, compound interest on your own insignificance. You think life charges tuition in dollars. It doesn't. It charges in courage. And most of you are bankrupt. Here's the brutal reality nobody wants to admit. The world does not reward effort. It rewards certainty. The marketplace does not pay the most talented. It pays the most decisive. The room does not follow the smartest man. It follows the man who looks unshakable. You can be average and confident and win. You can be gifted and afraid and lose. That's the hierarchy. Fear is a tax, a silent one. It drains you slowly. You don't even see the withdrawal. You just wake up at 35 wondering why the confident idiot from school owns the building you're working in. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was frame. Confidence is leverage. And leverage prints money. Look at nature. In the wild, survival isn't negotiated through essays. It's decided through posture. The lion doesn't hold a committee meeting before it charges. It commits. Fully. That commitment alone scatters weaker creatures. Hesitation is a scent. Predators smell it. And the world is predatory. Business is predatory. Dating is predatory. Competition is predatory. Not evil, just biological. You're in evolutionary combat every day, not with spears, with status, with perception, with dominance of space and narrative. The man who doubts himself before he speaks has already surrendered ground. The man you're afraid to become, who's naughty discounted his value. The man who asked for permission has already placed himself beneath the table. Fear whispers, what if they reject you? Confidence replies, what if they don't? And that difference, monumental. Most people are negotiating from a defensive position. They are trying not to lose instead of trying to conquer. That mindset alone guarantees mediocrity. Because when your goal is survival, you will never experience expansion. Survival is the floor. Conquest is the ceiling. Fear keeps you crawling on the floor. Let's talk numbers. How many business ideas died in your head because you were scared of looking stupid? How many investments did you avoid because you feared loss? How many times did you lower your standards because you feared loneliness? Add it up. That's your real debt. Fear made you tolerate disrespect. Fear made you undercharge. Fear made you stay in a city too small for your ambition. Fear made you keep friends who secretly enjoy your stagnation. And you call that being realistic? No, that's being domesticated. Reality is brutal. The market does not care about your anxiety. The world does not pause because you're uncomfortable. Opportunity does not knock twice because you needed reassurance. It rewards the decisive. Confidence is not arrogance, it's clarity. It's the absence of internal negotiation. It's a mind that says, I move forward. Whatever happens, I handle it. That internal certainty changes how you walk, how you speak, how you price yourself, how you look at risk. And risk is where the money lives. Safety is overcrowded. Every average mind flocks to safety. Safe jobs, safe opinions, safe dreams. And then they complain about average results. Of course, the reward is small. You competed with the entire herd. The real prize sits in territory guarded by uncertainty. You want monumental outcomes? You must tolerate monumental tension. Fear says tension is danger. Confidence says tension is growth. Think of life like high-stakes chess. Every move costs something, but the player who hesitates loses tempo. In chess, tempo is everything. One wasted move and the board shifts against you. Fear wastes moves. Confidence accelerates them. The confident player sacrifices pieces strategically. The fearful player clings to every pawn and ends up cornered. You're clinging to pawns, your reputation, your comfort, your small circle's approval, and you're losing the board. Confidence understands something profound. Embarrassment is temporary. Regret is permanent. Fear protects your ego for a moment. Confidence builds your empire for a lifetime. You say you want wealth, but wealth requires exposure, visibility, criticism, pressure. If you're afraid of being judged, You are structurally incompatible with success, because the higher you climb, the more eyes on you. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's a decision repeated daily. It's waking up and choosing expansion over contraction, choosing action over rumination, choosing discomfort over decay. Fear shrinks your world. You stop speaking, you stop asking, you stop trying. Your world gets smaller, safer, insignificant. Confidence expands your world. You speak up in rooms you once felt unworthy of. You approach people who intimidate you. You invest in yourself at levels that once scared you, and suddenly your network expands. Your opportunities expand, your revenue expands, because you expanded first. Here's the psychological layer most don't understand. Fear is imagination misused. It's creativity turned against you. You visualize worst-case scenarios so vividly that your nervous system believes they are real. Your body reacts. You retreat. Confidence is imagination weaponized properly. You visualize success. You see yourself handling problems. You rehearse victory instead of humiliation. Your body aligns. You advance. Same brain, different direction. One bankrupts you, one pays dividends. And let's talk about energy. Fear consumes enormous cognitive bandwidth. You overthink texts, overanalyze meetings, replay conversations. That mental drain reduces execution power. You become tired without moving. Confidence conserves energy. Decisions are faster. Action is cleaner. Less rumination. More output. Over years, that difference compounds into a gap so wide, it looks like talent. It's not talent. It's momentum. The confident man builds momentum. The fearful man builds excuses. Excuses are cheap. Confidence is expensive. You pay for it in discomfort. You pay for it in rejection. You pay for it in sleepless nights, betting on yourself. But once purchased, it generates cash flow, because confidence changes negotiation dynamics. When you walk into a deal believing you are the prize, your tone shifts, your posture shifts, your silence becomes powerful. You don't chase approval, you evaluate. That flip alone can double your income. Fear negotiates from scarcity. Confidence negotiates from abundance. Scarcity says, I hope they pick me. Abundance says, let's see if they qualify. Do you understand how lethal that mindset is? Most people beg silently. They need validation. They need guarantees. They need applause before action. And so they never act at scale. Confidence acts first, adjusts later. It's not reckless. It's decisive. There is a biological truth here. Humans respond to certainty. Your brain is wired to follow stable signals. When someone speaks with conviction, your nervous system relaxes. You trust them. You buy from them. You follow them. You don't believe in yourself? Why should the market? Fear is contagious, but so is confidence. In rooms, the emotional state of the strongest presence spreads. If that's not you, you are absorbing someone else's frame. You are living in someone else's psychological territory. And that is expensive, because you'll adopt their limits, their doubts, their ceiling. Confidence builds your own territory. Let me be brutal, your anxiety is costing you millions you will never calculate, not just in business, in life quality, in relationships, in experiences you are too scared to pursue, the trip you didn't take, the skill you didn't learn, the company you didn't start, all because you wanted certainty before commitment. Certainty is earned through action, not before it. That's the paradox. You don't feel confident and then act. You act and then feel confident. The action creates evidence. The evidence rewires your identity. The identity shifts your baseline. Fear tells you to wait until you feel ready. Confidence understands readiness is a myth, created by cowards. No warrior in history felt ready before battle. They felt duty. Duty overrides fear. If your duty is conquest, financial, physical, intellectual, then fear becomes background noise. It doesn't disappear. It becomes irrelevant because you move anyway. That's the elite difference. The average man negotiates with his fear. The elite man gives it orders. You want to know why some men accelerate while others stagnate? It's not because they lack fear. It's because they price it differently. They refuse to pay its demands. Fear says, stay small. They say, bill denied. Fear says, what if you fail? They say, what if I dominate? And that internal dialogue changes destiny. Confidence pays in reputation. People remember the man who takes bold swings. They forget the one who played safe. In markets, attention is currency. Boldness attracts attention. Attention converts to opportunity. Playing small is invisible. Invisible men do not get promoted. Invisible brands do not scale. Invisible voices do not influence. If you are afraid of being seen, you are choosing poverty. Harsh. True. Understand this deeply. The cost of fear compounds. Every year you delay expansion. Someone else captures the territory you hesitated to claim. Markets move. Industries evolve. Youth fades. Energy declines. Time is not neutral. It punishes hesitation. Confidence compresses time. You attempt more in 1 year than most attempt in 10. You fail faster, learn faster, adapt faster. The curve bends upward violently. Fear stretches time. Years pass with minimal risk taken. The graph is flat. You wake up shocked at how little changed. But nothing changed because you didn't. You want to know the most dangerous form of fear? The socially accepted kind. The kind disguised as being careful, as thinking it through, as waiting for the right moment. There is no right moment. There is no right moment. There is only now, and not now. Confidence chooses now, and here's the deeper psychological war. Your identity is built on repeated choices. If you repeatedly choose fear, you construct a self-image of fragility. You begin to believe you are not built for risk, not built for pressure, not built for leadership. That belief becomes your prison. But if you repeatedly choose action, despite fear, you build a self-image of resilience. You start to see yourself as dangerous, capable, adaptable. The world feels less intimidating because you've proven you can survive its punches. Identity is capital. Fear devalues it. Confidence appreciates it. This is not motivational fluff. This is structural reality. High performers are not fearless. They are conditioned through repeated exposure to discomfort. They have trained their nervous systems to operate under uncertainty. You haven't trained yours. So it panics. Train it. Start with small confrontations. Speak when you normally stay silent. Negotiate a better deal. Increase your price. Take the meeting. Post the content. Launch the project before it feels perfect. Each action is a deposit into your confidence account. And accounts grow. One day you'll look back and realize the scariest things you avoided were laughably small compared to your current capacity. That's evolution. But evolution requires selection pressure. Without stress, there is no adaptation. Without adaptation, there is stagnation. And stagnation in a competitive world equals decline. You're either expanding or shrinking. There is no static. Fear shrinks. Confidence expands. And expansion is expensive at first. It costs comfort, it costs approval, it costs certainty. But it pays in freedom, in leverage, in options. Freedom is not given, it is seized. And only the confident attempt the seizure. Freedom is not a gift wrapped in comfort. It is a territory guarded by uncertainty. And most men stand at the border staring at it, calculating, hesitating, until someone bolder walks past them and plants a flag. That's the difference. You think confidence is loud. It's not. It's decisive. It's the man who moves while others debate. It's the entrepreneur who launches while competitors are still researching. It's the fighter who throws the first clean strike while the opponent is measuring distance. Speed is power. Fear slows you down. It forces you into endless internal meetings, committees in your mind arguing about outcomes that haven't happened. By the time you decide, the moment is gone. Moments are currency. Miss enough of them and you'll live an average life wondering where the time went. Let's go deeper. Fear is rooted in loss aversion. Your brain hates losing more than it enjoys winning. So it magnifies potential downside and minimizes potential upside. It whispers catastrophic stories, public embarrassment, financial ruin, rejection. But here's the truth, most losses are recoverable. Time, if used aggressively, repairs damage. Skill, if built relentlessly, creates new opportunities. Reputation, if rebuilt with results, returns stronger. The only irrecoverable loss is unused potential. And fear steals that permanently. Confidence flips the equation. It focuses on asymmetric upside. What if this works? What if this scales? What if this changes my trajectory permanently? That mental orientation makes risk logical instead of emotional. High-level operators calculate differently. They understand that one bold move can outweigh 10 small failures. One successful venture can erase years of conservative stagnation. One strategic partnership can elevate them into a new league. But that one move requires nerve. And nerve is trained through exposure. You don't develop confidence by reading quotes. You develop it by surviving discomfort repeatedly until your nervous system recalibrates. The first cold shower shocks you. The 10th one feels normal. The first public speech terrifies you. The 20th becomes routine. Exposure builds evidence. Evidence builds identity. Identity builds dominance. If you've lived cautiously for years, your body interprets any deviation as threat. That's why your heart races when you think about quitting your job. That's why your palms sweat when negotiating. You are unfamiliar with expansion, but unfamiliar does not mean impossible. It means untrained. Training requires deliberate discomfort. Set standards that intimidate you. Raise your income targets. Upgrade your circle. Enter rooms where you're the least experienced person. That friction forces growth. It forces you to adapt or retreat. And if you retreat, you confirm weakness. That confirmation is expensive. Because once your mind sees you back down, it logs it. We avoid pressure. That becomes the new baseline. Next time the challenge appears, resistance doubles. But if you advance despite fear, your mind logs that too. We handle pressure. Baseline rises. That's how elite confidence is engineered. It's not mystical. It's mechanical. Let's talk about social dynamics. In any room, there is an invisible hierarchy. It's determined within minutes. Who speaks with clarity, who holds eye contact, who interrupts, who commands attention without begging for it. Fear places you at the bottom before you even open your mouth. You laugh too quickly. You soften your statements. You dilute your opinions with disclaimers. I might be wrong, but that phrase alone destroys authority. Confidence removes disclaimers. It doesn't mean you're always correct. It means you own your perspective. You speak in statements, not apologies, and people respond. Because leadership is emotional stability under uncertainty. If you look uncertain, why would anyone trust you with responsibility, contracts, or loyalty? Confidence is perceived competence. Perception drives opportunity. Opportunity drives wealth. It's all connected. Now let's address the internal war. There are two voices in your head. One protects comfort. The other demands expansion. The protective voice feels rational. It says, be careful, don't risk what you have. The expansion voice feels dangerous. It says, there's more, go get it. Most men obey the protective voice for so long that the expansion voice becomes faint, silenced. That's how mediocrity sets in, quietly. But here's the twist. Comfort eventually becomes painful. Staying the same begins to feel suffocating. You start resenting your own routine. You envy men who took risks. You scroll and feel the sting of comparison. That pain is the expansion voice trying to resurrect itself. Listen to it, because suppressed ambition turns into bitterness. And bitterness is what happens when fear wins for too long. Confidence, on the other hand, keeps ambition alive. It keeps you moving toward higher ground. It makes stagnation intolerable. You want to know why some men seem unstoppable? It's not because they have no doubts. It's because they refuse to build their lives around those doubts. They feel fear. They move anyway. They feel uncertainty. They commit anyway. They feel pressure. They step into it anyway. That repetition builds a nervous system that operates at higher voltage. Pressure becomes fuel. Risk becomes normal. Expansion becomes addictive. And here's where it gets strategic. Confidence changes how others treat you. Investors prefer decisive founders. Women prefer decisive men. Teams prefer decisive men. Teams prefer decisive leaders. Clients prefer decisive experts. Decisiveness signals safety. It signals direction. Indecision signals fragility. Fragility does not attract power. You can increase your income dramatically just by eliminating hesitation. Faster follow-ups, faster launches, faster negotiations. The market rewards velocity. Velocity comes from certainty. Certainty comes from self-trust. And self-trust comes from doing hard things repeatedly. It's a loop. Fear breaks the loop at the beginning. It prevents the action that builds evidence. So you remain stuck in theory, watching, analyzing, consuming content instead of creating results. Confidence pushes you into execution. Execution produces feedback. Feedback refines skill. Skill produces results. Results reinforce identity. That is the wealth cycle. Understand this clearly. The world is not waiting to give you permission. No one is coming to declare you're ready. There is no ceremony where you are knighted into capability. You decide, you step forward, you claim space. That claim alone separates you from the herd. Most people are observers of life, commentators, critics, spectators. Very few are participants at a high level. Participants accept uncertainty as part of the game because life is competition, not necessarily against others, but against your former self, against entropy, against decay. If you are not actively expanding, you are slowly shrinking. Fear accelerates shrinkage. Confidence accelerates expansion, and expansion compounds. One bold decision this year can alter your entire decade. One disciplined commitment to facing discomfort daily can transform your income, your physique, your network, your status. But it begins with a choice. Stop paying fear. Stop financing hesitation. Stop investing in safety while expecting greatness. Confidence is not free. It demands discomfort up front. But once you pay that price, it pays you back with interest and leverage, in opportunity, in freedom, in dominance of your own reality. The question is simple. Are you willing to endure short-term discomfort for long-term expansion? Or will you continue funding fear installment by installment until your potential expires unused? This is the line. Step over it. Pay fear nothing. Pay confidence everything. Decide today that hesitation no longer gets a vote. Move first. Speak first. Act before comfort approves. Accept the hit. Learn fast. Advance again. Build proof through action until doubt has no oxygen. You don't need permission. You don't need certainty. You don't need certainty. You need resolve. Choose expansion over safety. Choose duty over comfort. Choose conquest over excuses. Stand up. Lock in. The world bends to momentum, not wishes. Make the move now. No applause required. Results will speak. Cash will follow. And discipline will seal permanence without negotiation. Ever.